Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome back. I'm Marie Janae, the creator of the Curvy Fashionista, and we're back for another Speaking of Curves, where each Thursday we interview, talk with a plus size business owner, someone who caters to the plus size community, whether they're influencers, designers, boutique owners, creatives, stylists. Like, we're talking to different creators and different business owners because especially now through Rona, it's more important to make sure we support these small businesses so that we can see them and support them on the other side of the road, right? On the other side of this pandemic. And so, especially for me, like, I have noticed that indie designers, indie brands, indie businesses in the plus space are the ones that literally help us move forward, help us grow. And so, let's see this. I'm getting this community. Okay. So with this being said, like, it's important I had a weird technical glitch. So anyway, so it's important that we support brands, give love and show love to those who are doing it. So we have a new guest today and I'm really excited. But before we do, I have to give a major shout out and uber love to indie designer Zelly for She, Elon, who is an LA-based indie designer. I would say boho luxe designer who just got into Nordstrom. I am wearing her uber soft, like, I mean, when I say these things are soft, I've got these wide leg pants on, this oversized top, and I tied it. I'm feeling very spicy, like, I'm loving it. So as you are tuning in, let us know where you're watching from. Say hello, don't be shy. And as you have questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the comment box. We're here to help you. You know, we're going to connect, we're going to answer questions. And today's guest, she has mastered the art of the pivot. I've known her about like 6 years. She started off as a blogger. Then right after she won Miss Toronto? Miss Plus. We're going to get the details from her in a second. But she won a title, started her blog, then she started modeling, and then because of a personal situation, and she's going to get into detail into it, but because of a personal situation she had, she decided to start her business. And since then, she had opened 2 locations. But then when Rona came, she had to pivot. So we're gonna hear a little bit from Miss Sarah Taylor, and she's gonna tell us a little bit about her business, her brand. So make sure you guys are saying hello, like Angela from New Jersey. So hello, Miss Sarah Taylor. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to connect, even though we're in different countries. I love it.
I know, right? Right. And so you're in Canada.
Yeah.
You're in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And you are expecting.
I am almost 15 weeks pregnant. So end of September.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So for folks who don't know you, let's introduce yourself to the audience, to those who are maybe not familiar, and give them a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so I'll start with a little bit of my story. So a big part of my story was I grew up bullied as a kid, like most plus size women, which really affected my self-esteem and also all the decisions I made in life. So I ended up at 21, my parents split, and it was really, really rough. I grew up as a pastor's kid, so it was a lot of change all at once and was in a really rough spot. Met a guy who was super abusive. We ended up getting married despite everybody else thinking we should. And about 2 years in, it just kept getting worse. And I realized I couldn't live in that pain anymore. And so I decided things had to end. But for me, what that was the start of the journey to self-love. And that's really where my entire life started to change. And I really saw that value of learning to love yourself. And I say that because that leads into what I do now. So a couple years into my healing journey, I had seen a plus size fashion show downtown Toronto. It was the first time I had seen curves in movement. I was like, what is this? What is life? And I then kind of was like, oh, maybe I could plus size model. And so I had a couple opportunities, really small ones. And then I got, are you the next Miss Plus Canada? I got an email. And so I entered the pageant. I was covered in tattoos, never done a photo shoot, never done runway, and I ended up winning Queen, People's Choice, and Talent, much to my surprise. And the next day, I created Sarah Taylor's Journey. So that was my account on Instagram, I created a blog, and I just started sharing my journey of all the things that I went through, and how I had gotten to where I was at that point. And I just kind of wanted to document what was happening. And it was all about not just pretty photos, but sharing inspirational quotes and parts of my life. And then that kind of led into wanting to be able to work with women more and make a bigger impact. And fitness was a really big part of my life. And I was at a gym. I had been there for 2 years, but I was fat shamed quite a bit. It was a boutique gym. And I was known as the queen of modifications because I had been in a car accident and had injuries. And one day I was at the gym. I had been there 2 years. It was a Saturday, and a girl looks at me, who is not tiny, I will add, and says, "Are you sure you have medical clearance to be here?" I was like, "Oh, no, you didn't," simply because of my size. And so it was in that moment for me. Yeah.
She asked you if you had medical clearance to be at the gym.
Yep. Yep. Right? So that evokes a lot of emotion when you hear that. And when people hear that, they're like, oh my gosh. But I knew that I wasn't the only plus size woman that had experienced that at the gym, because it wasn't my first time. And so I ended up becoming a personal trainer. I took a extensive course. And as soon as I graduated, I opened my first studio. We're doing group fitness classes, providing modifications, teaching women how to strength train, because I think a lot of women don't know how to move their bodies. They don't know how to connect with their bodies. And then I opened another studio about a year later in downtown Toronto. And then I ended up going virtual because of COVID, which has been a really great gift to be able to work with women all around the world, essentially. So that, in a nutshell, is Sarah Taylor's journey so far.
Well, okay, so for those of you guys who are just tuning in and wondering what we're talking about, Miss Sarah Taylor, based out of Toronto, is sharing her journey. She started off as a blogger, shared her journey after just winning a pageant, started sharing her journey, had an amazingly horrible experience at a gym, and decided to do something about it. And so what's interesting about you is, like you said, you went and you opened up 2 different locations, Sarah. So if you guys are tuning in, like, don't hesitate to let us know where you're tuning in from. We got Latanya from Oklahoma. Hey, girl. As you're tuning in, like, go ahead and ask questions. So one of the things that I love about what you do, Sarah, is that you're focusing on the self-love journey. Like, we're not talking about fitness from a space of trying to lose weight. That's not what we're talking about. Like, and it's funny that we have you on, because literally last week on Twitter, I was like, yo, I need some movement videos because I need to stretch again. And like, for me, I need to learn how to be, how do you say, like, comfortable in my body as I have gained weight. I want to become familiar. I want to feel strong. I want to, like, stretch and not wake up and be like, oh my God, I moved wrong. And like, my whole body is like, right? I'm getting older.
We all are.
Right. Like, and I still want, like, I'm turning 40 this year, girl. 40. And, you know, I'm just, certain things I want to feel like I can move and feel comfortable with it. So this is where you come in.
Yeah. So we do a variety of things. So everybody kind of has to find what they enjoy doing. So what I've done is I call it my magic is group fitness. So now it's virtual. So we've switched it to that. But really, it's not everybody is at a high level in terms of fitness. So in my classes, I provide modifications for everything. We have strength classes, cardio classes. We do have a yoga class, but we do. I don't teach it. I have somebody else who teaches it. And we stretch at the end of every class because it is important to be stretching. And I also talk a lot about connecting with your body rather than just ignoring it, being in tune with your body, focusing on breathing and focusing on proper form. Because I think a lot of women, when they go to the gym, as a plus size woman, especially because there's so much discrimination, we don't know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, you can injure yourself, which would then have you not going to the gym. And so it's really important that I teach proper form. So we have classes that specifically focus on lower body, upper body, full body. I have a core confidence and cardio class because I like to, it is a lot. So but it's to give variety to people for them to find what they like.
So let me ask you, having to go virtual,
Mhm.
Like, how did Rona, like, because some people going through Rona, like, it's, negatively impacted, positively birth something new. Like, how did this pivot? Because you've made different life changes along the way. So it seems like this pivot was natural for you. Like, how did you embrace, like, being on lockdown?
So so in Toronto, we were shut down at the beginning of, or the mid-March of 2020. And within 12 hours, I had a virtual solution. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. 12 hours.
12 hours. So we had our first I did a community chat was our first thing, because I just wanted to check in with everybody. How is everyone feeling? Are you okay? Do you need support? And then the following day was our first virtual class. And it was definitely an adjustment. It is an entirely different energy being virtual. And essentially, when I was teaching in person, I would coach and show like 1 or 2 reps. And now I was doing the full workout with you. So pre the beginning of this year, I was teaching 9 classes a week through COVID, which was a lot. But I have a couple other staff as well, but it was a very natural progression for me. And then I had to make a decision a couple months into it, because Toronto gyms have basically been shut down for a year. I had to decide that I was going to end my lease and just keep going virtual. So I built a membership site in 4 days by myself and launched the membership site. But the great thing is, like, I had a,
I've got to
yeah.
because I need folks to hear and understand what you just said. So you were very solutions oriented.
Yeah.
Coming into everything, being hit like, okay, well, where else can we go? What else can we do? How else can we navigate through what's happening? So you took it as like, I don't want to say a fun challenge, but you took it on as a challenge to be like, all right, let's try something different. And so with that pivot, I imagine that you would need to have support around you. Like, how did that, like, or if you didn't, like, how did you, like, make that switch? Like, did you have folks around you who were at least there to encourage? You did this all on your own.
I have a support system. I live with my boyfriend, and I have a really great family and friends, and everybody is really encouraging. They have been my entire journey, but I didn't have anybody like hands on deck to actually help me. I don't have any staff aside from, I have a couple trainers who teach a couple classes, but I teach the majority of our classes. I do have a tech background. I worked for a software company in fundraising, so very different. And I'm not a coder. I was client facing. And I learned our product really well. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to learn an entirely new platform, build the membership site, and do it. It's because I have a bit of history in that. But so I
into other opportunities, like other resources that you had in your journey to help you here.
Yeah,
that's exactly. That's like another nugget. Like I hope that when people are watching this, like the whole, like there's a whole kind of theme or thread that kind of connects all these entrepreneurs, is that they're using what they have to get what they need. And so they're like, whether it's scrappy, whether it's community, whether it's innovation, like they're making it work. So if you are if you have a business idea and you're watching and you're thinking like, should I do it? I have this idea. I want to do something. Like, you need to make it happen. Like, you can do it. And there are people here who are here to encourage. Hell, I will encourage y'all. So as you're starting your business, like you've gone through, you've done the pivoting, you went virtual, you built this yourself. So you in what you said, 12 hours, you had a new virtual idea. But see, you also benefited from virtual already kind of starting to happen.
Yeah.
There were examples around us, like the dancing classes, like the teaching you how to do the dances and the moves and stuff. So you had that was already happening. So that just like clicked for you.
Yeah. And I think so for me, in building the 2 like physical spaces as well, community was really, really important. And so they've become like family. And so they were really supportive as well. And I was really in tune with what they wanted and needed during this time. And I think because of the position that I'm in, I do take it with a lot of pride, because I am in a position of leadership. And so I wanted to create something right away so that they felt supported, they didn't feel alone, and that they because everybody was scared, especially when it first started, right? And so it was then talking also about like, we can't go into the gym, but we're in the safety of our own home, and keeping moving during this time is going to benefit your mental health tremendously. So let's figure out ways to do this together. Let's also have fun together.
Right.
Because it really was a community, and it still is. And that's important for me as we continue to grow and things. I have to pivot again in the next few months being pregnant. It's important to be able to still have that community, because I think as plus size women, oftentimes we're the only plus size woman in a room. And so to have a community is important.
And so what would you say to, like, I want to kind of like hone in a little bit. Like, you seem very like, we gonna make this happen. Like, there is no stopping Miss Sarah, right?
Yeah, no, there's no.
What would you say to that entrepreneur, that business owner who is struggling, right? Like, because not everyone has those thoughts, like, or struggling but kind of has an idea and they're unsure. What would you say to them?
So there's a lot to that. So in full transparency, the week before COVID hit, I was contemplating claiming bankruptcy. Starting 2 physical gyms is a lot of money, and I don't have any funding. I took loans out under my personal credit. I had maxed out 2 credit cards totaling almost 60 grand. I thought, like, if COVID for me didn't happen, I probably would have ended up in the hospital from so much stress. It was horrible. And so for me, COVID allowed me to have a little bit of breath and breathe and space. And our government had some supports for businesses, which has been helpful. I still have a lot of debt, but at least it's not on my credit card anymore. And so it really is, you have to protect your own mental space and be very clear on your why. I don't do this. I haven't had a salary in 3 years. It's not like I make a lot of money doing this. This is my life's work, and it's what I'm passionate about. So I have to stay connected to my why and the differences that I'm making in this world, not just doing something for the sake of a paycheck, because if that was the case, I would have quit a long time ago.
I mean, like, that's real. Like, that's the realest thing.
It
I think
is.
sometimes we don't talk about like that underbelly of being an entrepreneur and kind of navigating through. We see the highlight reels, right? Like, we see like those things, but we don't see like, okay, how we gonna pay rent? How we gonna take care of this person? How we gonna take care of this? What are we gonna do? We don't see those things. So for your business, now you're virtual. Now you have a community. So as I mentioned, like, I want to learn how to stretch. Like, I want to learn how to do something that kind of just gets me moving, gets myself familiar, just so that I can, I carry stress in my body, especially up here and in my back. And so and right now my hip is sore, so I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? Right? Like, I've just been like, my body just is like, stretch me. And so you have classes. So what can a person do? Like, if they've just come to you and they've just stumbled upon your site, I just shared the URL in the comments. Like, what could someone do to become more familiar with you?
So what I offer is, there's a few things. So if you're like, I just want to kind of see what you do without committing to anything, I have free classes on YouTube. So youtube.com/The Sarah Taylor. And I have samples of classes. So I have 30-minute HIIT classes, all body weight, no equipment required. I also have a 10-minute stretching video for those who want to get a full body stretch. You can also see like, yes, you can see kind of like how I teach and that I provide modifications for everything. And I think the thing is, when you are new to fitness or you're looking to get back into fitness, you see the beach bodies, you see insanity. And as a plus size body, it's not safe to just go from 0 to 100 real quick. So you got to kind of build yourself into it safely, in my opinion, to avoid things like injury. And so it's why I provide modifications, so that somebody who's brand new can come do a class, but somebody who's also advanced can do the same class. And I teach you how to move your body in proper form. For example, squats is one of the things that people do the most incorrectly, and that is where your form makes a huge difference. And so I teach it like, exactly, right? So that I showed modifications. Like, some people, they're like, my knees, Sarah, they're not going to do lunges. So I have something that's not a lunge at all, so that you can still participate in the class and still move your body, because people have different injuries. So I'm very mindful of that in the classes that we do. And all of our classes are unique. So it's not boring. It's not like the same thing every day. And it's why we teach things. There's cardio. Also, part of our classes are full classes. There's a warm-up to ease you in, the workout. And then at the end of every class, we stretch and have a little bit of conversation and an affirmation, because I really want to connect body and mind. And it really is important to stretch. And it's one of the things people don't. We also have core in every class, because most people who struggle with low back and hip issues, it's related to a weakened core. We're not talking six-pack abs. We're talking about core. And the strength.
My hip hurts. Like, oh, what is happening? I feel like I find myself doing like stretches so for me, like I used to be like in college, like back in the day, like I used to be a cheerleader, used to be in gymnastics, and like my body has like since all the way changed since then. But I find myself like, you know, hella sore and tight and like wanting to just know, but it's awkward for me to get in front of my TV and stream something. Like, so what is that conversation? Can you like explain? Because, and I don't even know if you've had that objection from people. Like, you know, do I just like move my coffee table out the way and just go to town? Like, how does that work? And for those of you guys who are just tuning in, I'm here with Miss Sarah Taylor. She's based in Canada, in Toronto, and she has Fitness by Sarah Taylor, and we're talking about her pivot, how she pivoted from owning 2 studio gyms and how she pivoted to all virtual, how she's navigating this space. I see you, Miss Cher from North Carolina and Miss Shelley from Ohio. As you guys are tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. If you have questions for myself or Sarah, don't be shy and ask them. But I am curious, and then we got Vanessa from Brazil. Oh, hey, girl. All right, Brazil in the house. So I'm just curious about to that question, if you could answer it.
Yeah. So there's a couple things I do. So to start off with me, I offer a free 7-day trial. So you can kind of like poke around, try live classes, try on-demand classes, see what you like, kind of thing. If you don't like it, you leave. If you want to stay, join our community. But part of it, I have a welcome video to talk about how to start a fitness journey. I also offer 6-week challenges throughout the year, not like your typical fitness challenge. There's no weighing, there's no measuring. The 6-week challenge is you get a prep session. So we talk about a little bit more in detail how to start a fitness journey, how to incorporate it into your life, how to set up a space in your home that is good for a gym, how much size you need, what equipment you need. And if you don't have access or finances to buy equipment, what do you have around your house? Laundry detergent, bottles, fill a backpack worth of stuff, like all those kinds of things, because those are questions people have. Also, how do you schedule time to work out? How do you make yourself a priority? All of this is part of what I talk about on a regular basis. And in my group coaching calls twice a month as well, we're constantly talking about how to continue to focus on yourself, self-care, all of that kind of stuff, because fitness is just part of the equation. There's so much more to who we are. There's so much more to the journey to self-love. And I think it's important that you're aware and you have the ability to ask those kinds of questions. So I provide that information in FAQs. I provide it in video form. As also part of my 6-week challenge, I offer weekly self-love and confidence coaching videos based on the 12 pillars of self-love and confidence I've walked through to get to where I am. So there's a lot of different resources beyond just like, hey, do a class, because it can seem really awkward if you've never done it before. And it's why every single class I describe and show every single move with a modification, so that no matter where you are in your journey, whatever class you join, you're going to feel comfortable knowing, oh, this is how I do it. And then you see me do it with modifications as well, so that you can follow along.
I appreciate all the modifications. I have even seen yoga with modifications. Mm-hmm. I was having some conversation with someone, and they were talking about the getting familiar with your body, like even yoga poses where you have to like literally move your fupa over.
Yeah.
In order to like, listen, you gotta move her over a little bit so you can hit a spot, you can hit a stretch. Yeah. And that is for some people just hella radical. And it's not about trying to lose or trying to fit into something fancy. It's just about learning how to feel confident in that body of yours, and
Mhm.
and to know how it moves and to become familiar with what she can do. And and
Exactly.
and for me, like, I've got a dog, so I got to walk her twice a week, right? So it's like
Mhm.
twice a day. I mean, not twice a week, but twice a day. And so while I'm out there walking, like, I want to make sure that I'm, can do other things to just relax, relate, and
Mhm.
literally release.
Yep.
So what is next for Miss Sarah?
Well, I'm 15 weeks pregnant, which means I'm going to have to pivot again. So my current plan is live classes will continue until the end of May, 2021. And then I will be taking at least the rest of the year off from teaching live classes. I do have another trainer who's going to teach Mondays. Most people consume our membership on demand anyway. So there's almost 300 classes in our library, as well as all our workshops. So all of our group coaching calls, they're there as well. And those will continue so that we can continue to have community. But in all honesty, I'm kind of in this self-discovery place right now of what else, how else can I help women? How else can I empower women? Like, this might be a little personal, but last night I just really felt led to spend some time journaling at 11:30 at night, and just kind of like journaling out, like, what are the things that I want? What do I want life to look like? What is the next step? And how else can I be of service to women to empower them so they feel better about themselves? So I don't entirely know what's next, but I'm also in this place of I've been really sick
But
during this pregnancy,
that's so
but
real.
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
That is so real. And I appreciate your honesty in that, because oftentimes we're like, oh, I'm going to have this and do this and I'm going to do this. Or we're
Mhm.
like, oh, no, we're just going to keep on forging forward with what we have. And sometimes it's just like, okay, what is the real right now? Like, what's
Mhm.
like, so I appreciate you saying, like, who knows, like, you're going to kind of follow where you're led. And so that's really important.
Mhm.
Um, do you see yourself like adding like activewear, like, maybe like clothes? Why do you laugh? Why do you laugh?
Because everybody asks me. I would love to one day, but I feel like there's so much that goes into that. And I would like to at least be having a salary from what I do before I start to take on something that massive. But I mean, I could see it. I'd also like to write a book. I'd also like to continue to advocate with larger brands to include plus size bodies in the fitness world, because it's something that is not seen. So I've worked with some really big brands, like in Canada, we have Sport Check, which I think is really similar to like your guys' Dick's. I've
Okay.
done some really big campaigns with them. Nike also sponsored 3 runway shows I produced, and they gifted 30 of my girls all their gear head to toe. So I'd like to continue to work with brands of that scale to move the conversation forward
To bring them
and
in.
advocate. Yeah. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So do me a favor and tell everyone where they can find you, how they can follow you, how they can contact you.
So fitnessbysarahtaylor.com, you will find everything there. We offer a free 7-day trial for live classes and or on demand. On Instagram, I'm Sarah Taylor's Journey. There might be a new account that comes up because Instagram deleted my business account 2 weeks ago. So I'm kind of in this like weird spot right now. But Fitness by Sarah Taylor, you will find everything for sure. Also, you can find me on YouTube as well, The Sarah Taylor. And I've got lots of free content there and videos, not just fitness, but also self-love stuff, product reviews, a lot of fitness wear, that kind of thing as well.
Awesome. Awesome. I cannot thank you enough for spending some time and chatting with us about your journey, literally, and how, like, Rona has kind of introduced a whole other venue for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you, like you said, you're like, you feel like you're thriving. So
Yeah.
that is really awesome. I'm really excited to see what comes next. Again, congrats on expecting.
Thank you.
And all the good luck to you, and prayers and keeping you covered. And for those of you guys who are tuning in, like we just sat here with Miss Sarah Taylor, Sarah Taylor's Journey of Fitness by Sarah, as a plus size fitness instructor who doesn't preach at all anything around weight loss, more about movement, body awareness, and self-love. I wanted to have her in, especially as my body has been hella tight, and as we all process stress differently. I wanted to know like what we could do. And so she has a few solutions. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much for spending time with us, Sarah. Thank you guys for tuning in, for checking us out. We will be back next week with another Speaking of Curves. I'm Marie Dene, the creator of the Curvy Fashionista, and thank you guys for tuning in. Bye now.
Bye.